Yeah. But let's start Sefer Aleph. We ready? We do a Siman. Let's do it from the beginning. Okay. Rabbi says every minute is precious. There's a day's Sfira. The day's Sfira. Every minute is precious, precious. By the way, Shmulik, so whatever. There's a guy told me he can learn Shabbos by Mincha. Yaakov Garmazano. So you should know.
Yes.
He told me. He just texted me that Shabbos.
Shabbos is ready.
Okay. Right. Okay. דבר מעשור משעס תפילת המנחה, אם השעות חוקי יספל בלחץ, אחר כך יהיה משליך ציבר מוגן, או מחיה, בניין הקדושה, או מסיים הקהל הקודש, מהם שעושי לגבר 18 ברachas. So according to the Maron Beis Yosef, according to the Mechaber, what does a Heichos Shmoneh sound like? You know, today there's a thing of a Heichos Shmoneh. It means that everyone davens quietly. When they finish, he starts, not like we do today, Heichos Shmoneh. Heichos Shmoneh to him means that you do the whole davening quietly, and then the chazan gets up. Page 295, yeah. You know, like people in a hurry to make a Heichos Shmoneh. So,
yeah.
According,
by the way, not everybody.
So the way to do it, according to the Mechaber, was everyone does the quiet Shmoneh.
Yeah.
Then the chazan starts Baruch Atah, regular. And then he says Akela Kodesh. Everyone says Amen. Yiskadol v'yiskadash. That's the way. That's a, yeah. That's it. Yesh Emrim Shispal Shliach Tzibur Ima Kol B'Kol Rom. The Ashkenazim, their minig was no, that everyone davened together, and they did it B'Kol Rom. However, Chabad doesn't do it. But Bisman as the Welt doesn't do it not this way and not this way. The way the Welt does it today is that everyone starts together, and then they do Til Lakela Kodesh, and then everyone go and then everyone's quiet. Everyone finishes quiet. The Chazan's quiet. Everyone's quiet. So the way we do the minig of the way it's done today is not this way and not this way. But the Paul, that's the minig.
Okay.
The Paul, the minig does. Chabad doesn't do it. But versteht sich, if aim shoes by Yom, I mean, the din, you could do it. It's not.
Not really good to do it that way, though.
It's almost impossible to be ain shoes by Yom.
When I was working in the Bronx, I remember, so there was a conference room, and sometimes you say, okay, 2:00. For 5 minutes, we could have the conference room for Mincha.
So you have to do a Heichos Shmoneh.
That's the only way to do it.
Right.
If not, people left. You're stuck.
Right.
People middle walk and say, this one is a phone call, this one is this. You can't. So we said,
5 minutes.
Sometimes.
What do you call it? Heichal Shmoneh.
Heichos Shmoneh.
Heichal or
Heichal? Lo Heichal.
Heichal, where?
Heichos Shmoneh.
Ed Yud Chaf.
Loud Shmoneh.
Heichal means loud.
Oh.
A person Oig Malach Haboshin is Zeh Heich.
I didn't know that.
He's very tall. There's no word like that in Arabic.
Tawil. It's tall.
Tawil is tall.
Yeah. All the Tawil's family,
They're tall.
they say they are descendant of Elia Cohen. But the Tawil, I don't know. Call him Mr. Tawil.
So maybe
They're not so tall.
they're not so tall. So they would say Tawil Shmoneh.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's get into this halacha. Halacha Beis lo yeshav adam l'stapet ha'malamen kachis palu. V'lo yikonas l'merchet, v'lo l'burtzaki, v'lo l'dim, v'lo l'achol. He shouldn't start all these things. Afilu suda ktana samach l'mincha gedoyla.
Interesting. You see, right away you go, Suda Ktane, Mincha Gedoyla.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. There's no way to get out of this.
Suda Ktane, Mincha Gedoyla.
Okay, so before we continue, remember, there is from Chatzah is the 6 hours, the first 3 and the next 3. That's the Gedoyla and the Ktana. And then there's 2 types of meals. There's a Gedoyla and a Ktana, and we paskin that a big meal is like a Chasen, a Sheva Brachas, a Bar Mitzvah, B'chulu, and a small Suda is a regular dinner. Even Suda Shabbos is called a Suda Ktana. So the Mechaber paskin is like the Rif and the Rambam, that Afilu Suda Ktana, any meal, you're not allowed to start, according to Sfardim, In a way, the Sfardim are more machmir here. That according to the Sfardim, any meal, once it's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you're not allowed to wash, even for a Suda Ketana, until you daven Mincha.
Shabbos is the concept of Suda Ketana served or no?
The Shabbos older because it's.
All the 3 meals.
I'll tell you what. We're Ashkenazim, so we're not so worried about this. But for Sfardim, if they would finish the Tfilas Shachris on Shabbos and Musaf 1 o'clock, they wouldn't be allowed to go home to have the meal. They'd have to stay in the Beis Medrash, in the Beis Knesses, and do Tfilas Mincha, and then they could go home to have Suda Shabbos. Because the Sfardim paskin like the Rif and the Rambam, like the Mechaber, and the Mechaber says, and that's that we paskin like the second shot in the Gemara, like the Bachla by Yaakov, and the second shot in the Gemara said that even Suda Ketana you're not allowed to have from Chatzot. So for the 6 hours from Chatzot, you're not allowed to wash, to have any meal, even a Suda Ketana, before you daven Mincha. So the truth is, most Bet Knesset Sfaradi and Shabbat,
They start early.
they start early, they finish early. It's not a bayah.
30 would finish.
The only bayah if it's Sfaradi Chabad. If he's Sfaradi Chabad, now you have a problem. He starts davening a Shabbat
9:30, 10.
No,
10,
10:30.
10:30. He finishes 1 o'clock. Now he's not supposed to start even a Suda Ketana, so he has to wait to do Mincha. And the truth is, whatever. Anyway, but it's not a problem because really most Faradi they do they do early. They start Shabbat. What time they start in Yad Yosef Shabbat? Shabbat.
The concept of Shabbos is not Suda Ketana.
8 o'clock.
8 or 8 o'clock, or nothing.
By 11 they're done, right?
Yeah.
After Kiddush already.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying the concept of Suda Ketana and Shabbos is no exist.
It's Suda Ketana. We hold it Shabbos meal as a Suda Ketana. Okay? So, okay, let's get back.
In Israel, we used to come home 9 o'clock, 9:30. We after the Seudat morning.
Oh, yeah. You had Chamin that night?
9 o'clock in the morning.
This chamin you eat it the whole night, the whole day. My mother chamin.
Okay, so you're what?
Huh?
What do you do the rest of the day? You sleep?
It's funny what you're asking. We had a very small apartment. 9:30 we finish, and people used to come to the house, go to the kitchen. It's from here to here. My mother made chamin like this, take a plate, until maybe 1 o'clock.
It was a shula. It was a lot.
In the house.
People came into the house.
To the house to eat. They know that my parents made a big one.
Yeah. Well, what's the secret to your mother's coming?
Free.
Olam haba, she will say like
Free.
Huh?
her hands.
Her hands.
They said in Arabic, if you want to give a bracha to a woman that cooked it, Ashet Edik. Your hand will live long time. It means you can cook a lot of years.
Wow.
Ashet Edik.
Wow.
Say it again.
Ashet, it's live. Edik, yad. Edik. That's for women.
Beautiful.
For men, Idak. Ashet Idak.
Beautiful. Shmulik, can I ask you a favor? Could you give this to Menachem? We're on page 296. In the bottom, it's 296. According to the Mechaber, even a Suda Ketana, as long as it's already chatzos, you're not allowed to wash to eat. Once he started, but that's the chumrah. The kula, according to this opinion, is has to be that he knows that that there's still, when he's going to finish the meal, there's going to be still 15 minutes left to daven mincha. If he knows that now the meal is going to be a very long meal, it's a chasna, a shev, he knows it's a dinner, it's going to be 5 hours, 6 hours, or whatever amount of hours, but by the time it's over, there'll be no 15 minutes left to shkia. It'll be over. That means if, for example, it was a big su'uda and it's 12 o'clock and they wash, but he knows that this su'uda is going to be for 6 hours. 6 hours the su'uda is going to go. So he has to mafsik miyad. Say it's a wedding in the summer, right? And there's still light outside, right? And you come to the hall. right? You know that the Suda, the wedding, is going to be at least 3 hours, right? So by the time the Suda, the wedding is over, it'll be long after Shkia. So it's also for you to wash.
Now. Yeah, mafsik.
And if you wash, you still have to be mafsik and daven mincha.
That's the only time that you say after mafsik.
You have to be mafsik because you know that. So if there's not going to be time left, it's not the pshat that you could continue eating in the last 15 minutes. You have to stop. No, if you know that the wedding is going to go on and on and on and on, so now you have to stop, even though you're already washed. When do we say im hischil eine mafsik? If you know that the wedding is going to finish and it'll still be an hour, half hour, 15 minutes left to Shkia. But if you know that this chassan is going to go for way after Shkia, you have to stop this second. When do we say that you already started? Matcholas merchet zum Schiffshet Labushel, Matcholas Burski, Mishish Ksher Baget, Bank Safe of Terchel Burskim, Matcholas Din, Masukan by Mishes Baladin Litoin. Mimlohi Sukan Mishes Atfadayon, Waladin Dam, Mishesh Fadaita Loden. In those days, the Dayonim used to wrap up a talus. Today we don't do that, it's not a minute. So as soon as they sit down, they're ready, for the Din Torah, that's considered that they started. Ascholas Achila, Mishiitl Yoda, when he washes his hand, that's considered Ascholas Achila. Yesh chelkim, v'yesh chelkim, v'sfira lahu. So let's summarize again. What's the shita of the Mechaber? The Mechaber holds as long as it's chatzos, not allowed to wash for any meal. Finished. I don't care. So the Ktana, so the Gedoyle, not allowed to wash for any meal after chatzos.
The Mechaber, do you know about Chabad?
So but there's a kula. The kula is once you wash, even though it's already it's an hour before shkia, you're allowed to continue. But if you know that this meal is going to be nimshach for so long that it's already going to get shkia, this second you have to stop. Even already his. And this is the miniga. This is the shita of the Balei HaTosfos and all the shitas that we spoke yesterday. And now this is going to be the minig of the Ashkenazim. Yesh chelkum svira lahu the suda ktana muter vein also rak besudas nasuna mila. They say that this is the shit of the Tosfos. That in the first 3 hours. It's only also a Suda Gedoyla, and the next 3 hours is also only a Suda Ktana, which is the more kuladik, which is the Ashkenazim most, that in the first 3 hours is only also Suda Gedoyla, which is like a Chasna, and the next 3 hours is also even a Suda Ktana. Okay. So according to that, if you finish davening at 1 o'clock, you can still go home and wash, because you have 3 hours still that you're allowed to, and the last 3 hours, then we say you're already not allowed to start a Suda Ktana. But in the first 3 hours, you only also have to start a Suda Gedoyla, like a Chasna. The next 3 hours is Taka, you're not allowed to start anything, according to this opinion. Weiter. What they did, so there was a whole thing. The Rebbe Rashab used to make Kiddush and eat a little bit of Mezainis.
When?
Right after Shacharis, he used to wash and then wash. He used to make Kiddush. He used to make Kiddush. No, every day, every Shabbos. He used to make, after the Shacharis, he used to make Kiddush. And he used to eat a few pieces of cake.
Yeah.
He used to make ala michya and ala gefen. And then he used to have a mincha. And then he used to wash and eat Suda Shabbos.
When he have Musaf?
No, I'm saying Shacharis Musaf. After Musaf, he would make a Kiddush.
Oh, no, I get it.
After Musaf.
He did Suda Ktana.
Not even a Suda Ktana. He would do Kiddush and a little piece of cake.
Right, that's called Suda Ktana.
Even less. And then it's Tima. And then he would have a mincha. And then wash and have a regular Suda.
Uh-huh. No,
but it's funny because that Suda he didn't count as Shalashudas. Even though it was after Mincha, he didn't count it as Shalashudas.
Right, but okay, but it's already. He's second man.
because
Because you already
it was
finished.
already late. It was to finish davening Shacharis and Musaf so late.
Uh-huh.
So
There are some places, and here also I saw it. They had a kiddush. They finished Shachrit and Musaf. They have a kiddush. And then they start Mincha right away. They just finished the davening.
I'll tell you what, it's a good
happening,
thing. It's a
right?
good thing and a bad thing. All in all, it's not such a good thing. All in all, it's not a good thing. Because all in all, it's not such a good thing. If it's taka Sfardim, so they're mechuyev to do it, because if it's already Chatzois, you're not allowed to go home and wash. But if it's Ashkenazim, it's not a good thing. I'll tell you why. Because they're going to daven mincha, they're going to go home, they're going to have a meal. What are they going to do after the meal? They're going to bed. And then what are they going to do? Sleep until they make Havdalah. The Shabbos. What kind of Shabbos is that? It's not Shabbos. Shabbos means you come back to bed. Daven mincha, sing songs, Reive deraven, and learn a little bit. You learn Maimer, learn a little Pnimis HaTorah. What's that? Sleeping in bed in the time of Reive deraven. And then wake up and daven Maimer and Havdalah. How does a person feel that way? Does he feel the Kedusha of Shabbos that way? I can't imagine someone feels good about it. You know what I mean?
On a Shabbos.
Yeah.
That's why the Father says, Kol ochel chamim Shabbat chayav mita. Mita is also dead, or mita is sleeping.
Very good.
So what is that?
Ja, maar net een goede chant.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, what did you say?
What about 15 Spartan action? A lot.
Well, they passing like the Mechaber. The Mechaber says that once it's Chatzois, you're not allowed to wash, even for Suda Ketana. But the Ashkenazim hold that no, for the first 3 hours, you're allowed to wash for Suda Ketana, only not allowed to Suda Gedola. Next 3 hours, that's when you're not allowed to start even a Suda Ketana. Let's continue reading in the Ramah.
So then the first meal we have, get the Muslim, that is what so should the two.
No, that's all Suda Ketana. Suda Gedola here is like a chasana, something very big.
And then we have Shabbos afternoon.
It's called a Suda Ketana. Yeah. Here, when we say Suda Gedola, we mean like a wedding. V'yesh omrim da'afilo Suda Gedola, samoch lemincha Gedola shari. Second opinion says, and this was the Razal, the Balamoy, that they say even more kuladik. That what the second opinion is even more kuladik. That they say the first 3 hours there's no isur. The first 3 hours is no isur. The first 3 hours is no isur at all. Afilu Suda Gedola samach lemincha Gedola shari. Okay. V'yesh omrim.
He's the most full.
So the second opinion says the first 3 hours a day is no problem. It's no problem. Like the Gemara thought in the beginning. The Gemara said, the first 3 hours after Chatzos, he can show Yom Tov. There's plenty of time. So Suda Gedola and Simcha Gedola is not a problem. Yesh omrim, another Yesh omrim. The Suda Ketana. Because that was the opinion that said we don't pass like Rabbi Shua Malavi. We figured out we don't pass like him. So therefore, you're not allowed to, like the first answer in the Gemara, from Suda Gedola, from Mincha Gedola, you're not allowed to. But that's it. You're only not allowed to have. You're only not allowed to have a Suda Gedola. For all 6 hours, it's only a thing of not having a Suda Gedola. The minig is to be making like both svaras put together. The hain of a Suda Gedola, samach la Mincha Gedola. That by Mincha Gedola we're making the first 3 hours of the day that we even allow them to have a Suda Gedola. Ubesuda Ketana, samach lemincha Ketana, and by Mincha Ketana we allow they should have even a Suda Ketana. So the only thing that the Olam is machmir is for the last 3 hours not to have Suda Gedola. The only thing that machmir is not to have a Suda Gedola at that time. The Efshir Hatam, why they make Mishum the Achshir Kohen LeBeis HaKnesses, Because right now they call the shamash goes and he bangs on the windows and he calls everyone to come to the basic masses. So we're not scared that a person is gonna not daven, because don't worry, the minig is what's he scared he's not gonna daven, but the shamash is gonna come. Kim shil madaven mincha, kim shil madaven mincha. Spät, madaven mincha, kim shil madaven. Kim do. What does I? So that's where they're making. But miu besuda gedola yesh lahachme.
Even if
But
the is full.
besuda gedola. So before miu, let's so like this. So the Welt is makel very much. The Ashkenazim are makel super duper. The Ashkenazim are makel super duper. The Ashkenazim, the only thing they're not going to do is the second 3 hours, they're not going to have Suda Gedoyla like a chasna. But the first 3 hours they'll have anything. And the second 3 hours they're also going to have a Suda Ktana. Okay. So the Tzemach Tzedek says, I don't understand. This kula, Tzemach Tzedek says, no one holds with this kula. You took two, it's the din is, if you take two kulas, two chumras, you're a tippish. Two opposite chumras. It's called a tippish. But it's a person that takes two opposite kulas is called a rosha. Why? Because which opinion, which kula are you trying to take? Who are you trying to rely on? I don't understand. If it's two kulas, the sasri adodi. If you want to hold that the pshat is that it's Suda Gedoyla is if the whole 6 hours is also Suda Gedoyla. Okay, so the whole 6 hours is also Suda Gedoyla, not only the second 3 hours. There is an opinion that says no, we don't hold like in Bishur Ben Levi. We don't hold like Bishur Ben Levi. So the Gemara answered the first teretz that's talking to Suda Gedoyla. And that's why we're choshish. So the whole 6 hours also Suda Gedoyla. So why are you saying only the second 3 hours? And if you hold like the other opinion, that we go like the first, like what the Gemara says originally, that the Gemara originally thought that the Isser is even a Suda Ktana, but only in the second 3 hours. So you should ask even a Suda Ktana. What is this kula that you're making? Only Suda Gedoyla, only in the second 3 hours. No opinion holds that way. There's not one issue that holds that way. Who are you going like? That's what Tzedek's asking us. But this is like a Rasha. You're picking the the coolest what you like. You're going you're Rebbe shopping. Taking the cooler from every Rebbe, from every Rav. So this doesn't work this way. If you hold like the opinion that we go like the first teretz of the Gemara, that the Isser is only in the second 3 hours, the Isser is even. So the Ketana. If you hold that no, we passing like the first answer in the Gemara that it's only a Suda Gedoyla, but it's all 6 hours. To say only Suda Gedoyla and only in the second 3 hours, there's no such a shita. It doesn't exist. There's no such a shita. It doesn't exist. So the Tzemach Tzedek says that's why the Ramos says the Nogel Hokol Vishnei Svodis. Why? Mishum the Achshav Koyin Al Beis HaKnesses Lo Chashin and Dilma Yivshim. Because now. Because we have a reminder. Good.
So if you have a reminder, so that means you're going to stop the Suda because.
But this is dafke if this take that it's the Mishnah only says it has to be dafke take that the minig in this place is that there's a shamash. He bangs on the doors, and he says, "Mincha bezmana." So, but if there is no like Bisman Hazeh, so what's the halacha? So you can't go with this minig. This minig is a stira minay obey. It doesn't make sense to say the stira. Now, if you look in the Mishnah Berurah, and look in Ois Chavav. In Ois Chavav he says, "Mashma k'shegiya zman mincha ktana, moed de osa lahasa." That once it's ktana, you're not allowed to start any more Suda Gedoyla. Magos Mordechai make gamazeh medaite. They nisar el besuda Gedoyla.
Oh, Suda Ktana something 3 hours is allowed. Gedoyla then is
Samuch lemen ktana. The Magos Mordechai is makel and says that the Isser is only a Suda Gedoyla in the time of Mincha Ketana. So I checked, and there's no such Agos Mordechai. Doesn't exist. Such Agos Mordechai. So I figured the Chofetz Chaim wrote it. I figured we have to find the Ksav Yad, because in the original, in the old print of the Mishnah Berurah, it's a Rosh Toivis. And there is Lamed Mem Kuf Samoch Lemincha Ketana. But I think the Chofetz Chaim, when he wrote it, probably wrote Samoch Lemincha Gedoyla.
And somebody
Made a mistake, and he's because he could easily make a mistake. And he meant V'daita Ein Yisrael B'Suda Gedoyla Samoch Lemincha Gedoyla, which is Taka. That's the shit of the Agos Mordechai. The Agos is certainly not Agos Mordechai, it's Agos Harosh, but Mordechai is the one that wrote those Agos. Maybe so he calls him Agos Mordechai. And V'daita Ein Yisrael B'Suda Gedoyla Samoch Lemincha Gedoyla. V'chei Mashma Riva.
make more sense.
Yeah. That no goyim l'hakol af l'achar she gives mincha ketana only mincha gedoyla, the only suda gedoyla is what they ask, and that makes sense. Because if it was true the way it's printed here in the Mishnah Berurah, so then that would have answered that Tzemach Tzedek Shaila. Tzemach Tzedek says that there's a Rosha. You're picking two kulas from the Razon, the Agos Ashri, and there's no one that's makel so much. If it was true that there was such a Agos Mordechai, so here the Mishnah Berurah found a pot of gold. He found the answer for the Shaila that Tzemach Tzedek, and for the Kasha that Tzemach Tzedek, Ois Kasha. Taka, there's an opinion that holds that the only Isser is Suda Gedoyla in the Zman of Mincha Ketana in the second 3 hours. But the answer is there is no such a shit. The Mishnah Berurah never probably said it. Probably they made a mistake and it's a typo. And I'm surprised that none of the later prints stopped this typo. Probably what he wrote was Vagos Mordechai Mekel Gam Bazeh V'daited En Isser Elo Besuda Gedoyla Samach LaMincha Gedoyla. Oh, which is 6 hours. But there's no shita that says, there is no such a shita that says that the whole Isser is only Suda Gedoyla B'Mincha Ketana. Big pain in the little neck. So there's the big pain in the little neck, or the little pain in the big neck. So the taka that Tzemach Tzedek kasha is a eisene kasha, and therefore the Tzemach Tzedek says that you must understand that Amo, but only meant in a place where the minig is that the shamish is knocking on the windows and said Mincha bezmana. So they're makel because bemis they don't have to be. They're allowed to. The whole din doesn't apply. They hold the whole din. The last 3 hours. It's a balabata shesvor. It doesn't make sense to start a chas in the last 3 hours before shkia. Doesn't make sense. It's just a balabata shesvor. It's not the din of the Gemara. But takazo, if you don't have a shamish banging on your door, and to say that Google remind me is as good as the shamish is not so good, because what's if your phone runs out of battery? The shamish never ran out of batteries. The shamish and the shtetl gegangen. It's a mincha bezmana. But Google remind me can sich vergessen nechet. So it could die. The phone could die. You have no more juice. So therefore, bizman hazeh you have to be more machmer. So what should you do bizman hazeh that Amo doesn't? That Amo was talking when they had a shamish banging on the windows. So that Tzemach Tzedek says that Ladina, he thinks that Ladina nearly Savoras or Rashba Muskemes Mekama days. I think that the Rashba is the most sensible shita, and most of the Rishonim will agree with the Rashba.
That's what we said last night.
That we said last night. So what would be the din? Like this, that in the first 3 hours you shouldn't start a Suda Gedoyla, which is a chasana or something, a bar mitzvah.
If you start, you don't have to stop.
If you start, you don't have to stop. And Mincha Ketana, you shouldn't start even a lunch. You shouldn't wash. But even then, once you wash, you don't have to. Lakula.
If you know
Not like.
If you know that you have enough time after.
That's all. If you know that you're going to finish at least 15 minutes before Shkia. But if you know that this chasana is going to schlep, this bar mitzvah is going to go and go. So even if it's a sudaktana, if you know that you're going to, so then you have to stop right now. This second, you have to stop this second.
Even though it's another 6 hours of the day, you can stop.
You have to stop this second. Mamish, you have to stop this second. That's the Lamaisa way the Tzemach Tzedek paskins.
There's certain thing you say, you know when you start, you don't know when you're going to stop.
Right.
It's one of them.
So again, to clarify, L'didan, we don't have a shamish banging on the windows. So the Tzemach Tzedek, I mean, the Mishnah Berurah Be'emes also a little bit says it. It doesn't say it so clear. But the Mishnah, if you read the regular pshat in Mishnah Berurah, you think he found the teretz for the Tzemach Tzedek's eyes in Akasha. But it must be a typo here. And like I said, I'm surprised that no one, since the Mishnah Berurah printed a sefer, that no one chapped on this mistake. But it's clearly a mistake. It's a typo. It must be a typo. It's Bagos Mordche Mekel Gam Zevedaita Den Israel Besuda Gedoyla. It must be Samach Lamincha Gedoyla. That's what he meant. Because that's taka what the Bagos Mordche says. That the Isur is for all 6 hours, but only a Suda Gedoyla. So Lamaisa that Tzemach Tzedek is gerecht. There's a kasha. How could you mekel and take two shittas? There's karosha. We took two kulas together. So therefore, the bottom line is, what's the halacha according to the Tzemach Tzedek? That when it comes to chatzos, as I said before we started this year, I know today is going to be a nutcracker, and it's going to be a little bit of a Rubik's Cube, but it's Nageya Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, and also Nageya on Sunday. So it's Nageya every day of the week. So every day, people don't have, there's a din here. So for the first 3 hours after chatzos, it's also at the start of Suda Gedoyla like a chatzna. And the second 3 hours, once it's 3 hours before Shkia, you're not allowed to wash, to eat, even a Suda Ketana. But you could wash if you're going to eat only one kibetza. One kibetza, like a half a bagel, you're allowed to. But if you're going to eat more than a half a bagel, it's also to wash. Either way, if you're ready at hischil be'isur, you're allowed to continue. But either way, that's only if you know that you're going to finish the dinner, the event, the restaurant, going out, you know you're going to be finished at least 15 minutes before Shkia. But if you think you're not going to be finished, so even though it's 6 hours before Shkia, but you know that you're now sitting in a restaurant or at dinner or at an event that's going to take who knows how many hours, and it might end after Shkia, so you're now to stop eating and to daven Shmoneh Esrei.
I think you should have done this when they finish the Siddur in the morning. Right, Mincha and after the Siddur.
Usually 2 o'clock,
Right, before 2 o'clock.
and then they have Mincha, and then they have lunch. Demis is 2 o'clock. It's sometimes the bochum eat lunch a lot of times. It's still in the zman of Mincha Gedoyla. I mean, in 770, it's always 3:15, but it's not gefährlich because when the bochum are eating lunch in the summer, for sure, it's in the zman of Mincha Gedoyla because it started 1 o'clock. So 2 is only 1 hour in. And the winter also,
when she
2 o'clock, it's nicht gefährlich. It's still within the first 3 hours.
14, 2 o'clock.
They eat 2 o'clock, nicht gefährlich. Because you're allowed to eat.
They're more.
They're mekel, because we're Ashkenazim are mekel the first 3 hours. The Suda Ketana, and it's in the Zman of Mincha Gedoyla. You're only not allowed to start Suda Ketana by Mincha Ketana. Mincha, the first 3 hours, Mincha Gedoyla, it's also just the start of Suda Gedoyla. But a regular lunch, you're allowed to start. So 2 o'clock, even in the winter, is still within the first 3 hours.
But they start on the Mincha at 3:15, so that's when they start eating lunch at 2 o'clock.
No, they're allowed to because it's already, there's still the first 3 hours of the day. So they're allowed to start a Suda Ketana.
But I don't think they think because it's 3 hours of the day. I think because of the schedule of the day. Absolutely.
Can sein, but
Starting on the Mincha at 3:15.
but the emphasis is the bisoymach that on a thing has to be in a place where the shamish bangs on the door and closing. But there's no one banging on the doors on 1440. If a cheverman will schlafen favach gleich, can schlafen favach gleich.
They wouldn't even know that he's missing there.
They wouldn't even know he's missing.
Thank God we have Lando today. If he can go to the next
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Great thing.
for perfect night, Mari.
Sorry, I'm not there.
No, it's all good.
I met the Golashon was a great man. Big because he didn't get into nothing. Everything fine. He didn't know anybody by name.
No?
He didn't know anybody by name. If you sat here today and you sat here for 6 months in market, like you were here. If you change your seat, gone. Came over to me. He says the question, Du hast doch meine Schurin, mir bin gesehen schon 6 Chadoshim. Was ist das schön, wo bist du gewöhnt? And I knew as a fact that he would send dinner to the Rebbe every single week. So, from the 6 months, I decided that was logic. I just checked the table.
You just changed the table and he
Checked
did.
the table, that was it.
Wow. Wow.
Give you even better one. The Maoz of the was Moshe in 70.
No, I'm very, very good.
Right, so he came to a guy and he said, he asked me a question and he started answering him. And the guy says, I asked you this question 3 years ago. Now I'm married already and this. And you're talking like if I'm a shivvach.
I told the joke to Rabbi Morozov with Rabbi Yaroslavsky. I told you that story. I picked him up and said, morning, I started going to Iowa.
The Bochum?
No, he didn't go to the Bochum. He went to see that Bochum. He went to call a couple of dollars from Moskva.
Okay.
He didn't go to the Bochum. That not that time, maybe
Okay,
other times,
okay.
yeah. So I asked him a question. He said, I don't have an answer for you. I'll give you an answer in 3 days. So I told him, Rabbi Yaroslavsky, it's a grant of fire. If you're going to call up the fire department today, not today, the grant by fire, you're going to call up the fire department. The fire department is going to ask you, we're going to come back in 3 days. What's the blood from the stock? What's going to happen with the housing? You're right, and he gave me an answer on that. Yeah, but the document myself.
Yes, exactly. Let's just finish the last
For 2.5 hours, we had to talk something. I'm talking coffee.
Go shoulder. Okay, let's finish off. Mir bist du der Gedoyle, ich lach mir afilo some khlamen gedoyle. Afilo mitzchok kedam lachem, lachem shgedem min chektana v'shoy veres sarach lokum l'spalo. I just want to gloss over these 2 lines, maybe next week. Hada asa lechel so the ktana hanek shgedei l'suda.
We were reading now.
Siv Gimel.
That's the whole thing.
Hada asa lechel so the ktana hanek shgedei l'suda. Aval lik litem na achilus peiris mutter. You're allowed to eat peiris.
Before the time.
Yeah, even in the man from Mincha Ktana. Wooden lechel pas, kabetza, kadera shal meichel balakeva mutter, that's all mutter.
In other words, even to wash, you're allowed to because you're eating very
If you're eating only 1 kabetza. Just like a half a bagel, maybe even a whole bagel, maybe it could be a kabetza.
Today people don't try not to eat to wash for some reason.
Yeah.
They eat more than yeah, but
Right.
They eat a lot of mazonos, double them.
I could pass a whole week sometime without washing. Shabbos to Shabbos, that's it. The whole week I could go without washing.
No, you don't go into your neighbor canteen?
So what do I need over there to wash?
Uh-huh.
There's plenty salad and soup that you don't need to wash.
Uh-huh.
If you do more than understand.
Lakashvir, it's Chauvim.
No. Are we at them?
Ja, 1 Minute, Hashem, ist da, Jidus will. Rav Rotman, ihr wollt etwas sagen? Aber der Jid, was hat gewollt, nicht da, aber... Okay. Huh? Rabbi say, here there's a Yid that went through a lot and he needed a whole bunch of surgeries. So if any Yid that can give him, please help him out.
Okay.
Baruch Tanu Malacham Berurah Nefesh Adam Tzachsanem Kol Mashva Atzmach Chezu Nefesh Kachoy Baruch Elohim. Can we get a menu?